Good news continues for the Indian economy. Exports rise 10% in June, but record gold imports drive trade deficit to 11-month high. Markets end in a positive note. Sensex gains more than 300 points. Nifty ends above the crucial 7600 levels. Agriculture Minister hopes for recovery on agriculture production on back of better monsoon conditions in July. Also says government has already started taking steps in view of the current situation of the monsoon. BRICS launched new development bank to reduce total dependence on World Bank and IMF. The bank to have headquarters in Shanghai. First president of the bank will come from India. And Chinese economy back on track. The world's second largest economy expands 7.5% in April to June quarter. Well, hello and welcome to Business Snap. I'm Sidhant, Sibal, and let's begin with the good news. Good news coming from Udyog Bhavan yet again. India's exports grew by 10.22% to $26.4 billion in June this year. This is the second consecutive month in which exports have grown in double digit. Sectors that help push exports in June include textiles, petroleum products, engineering and leather. Imports, meanwhile, stood at $38.24 billion, up 8.33%, leaving a trade deficit of $11.76 billion. Country's gold imports were up by a whopping 65.13%, which led to an import of almost $3.12 billion of gold this June. This is the primary reason that trade deficit increased in the month of June. Oil imports increased by 10.19%. Meanwhile, non-oil imports in the month under review were up by 7%. Meanwhile, exports body FIO has said that the continuance of double-digit growth in exports is a very positive sign, and the export chamber expects a further improved performance in months to come. Further, it said that exports are set for better times with improvement in global economy. Well, on to news from the markets. Well, it was a good day for the markets too. A sudden surge in late trade propelled the key benchmark indices to make major gains. Sensex gained 321 points to end at 25,550 levels. Nifty gained 98 points, just 2 points short of the century, to end at 7624. The mid-cap index was up 1.34%. The small-cap index was up 2.04%. Both these indices outperformed the Sensex. The major market sentiment was positive basically because the RBI on Tuesday announced incentives to raise long-term bonds for infrastructure financing, and after the latest data showed a decent growth in exports in June 2014. Firmness in European stocks also boosted sentiments on the domestic bourses. Well, gainers on the chart were ICICI Bank, Hindalco, Axis Bank, Tata Steel and SSLT, which were up by between 4 to 3%. Losers on the chart were GAIL India, Bajaj Auto, Wipro, Cipla and Dr. Reddy's Lab, which were down by about 1%. The market breadth indicating the overall health of the market was strong, with over 2 gainers for every loser. Among the 30 shares Sensex packed, 24 stocks gained and rest of them declined. Well, on to market action from across the globe. Well, the Asian stocks edged higher as a slide in oil prices to the lowest in almost 3 months on Tuesday was taken as a potential positive news for the global growth. Key benchmark indices in Hong Kong, Singapore, Indonesia and South Korea rose by between 0.04% to 0.85%. Key benchmark indices in China, Japan and Taiwan fell by 0.02% to 0.88%. Well, on to European stocks. Well, European stocks edged higher today after a report showed China's economy expanded in second quarter in line with government's target. Key benchmark indices in France, Germany and UK rose by between 0.89% to 1.32%. Well, Agriculture Minister has assured that there is no need for panic on monsoon front. He said that the government has prepared a contingency plan and he hoped that monsoon in July month would revive as the Met Department has forecasted. Let's listen in.
हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं कृषि मंत्री राधा मोहन सिंह जी। सर, अभी भी देखें तो मानसून की हालत बहुत बेहतर नहीं है, क्या फर्क पड़ सकता है उत्पादन?
मानसून के संबंध में हम आप कोई अंदाज नहीं लगा सकते। मौसम विज्ञान विभाग जो है वो बताता है और उसका कहना है कि जुलाई महीना में अच्छी वर्षा होने की संभावना है और इसके लक्षण भी आपको दिखाई दे रहे हैं।
तो पहले से सरकार तैयारी कर रही है, उसको लेकर कुछ दिशा निर्देश दिए गए हैं?
बिल्कुल, सारे राज्यों के अधिकारियों के साथ हमारे अधिकारियों ने वहाँ जाकर बैठक की है और हर राज्य के अधिकारियों को भी 17-18 तारीख को यहाँ बुलाकर बैठक की गई है। पूरी तैयारी है। लेकिन मौसम विभाग का एक कहना है कि जुलाई में अच्छी वर्षा होगी और निश्चित रूप से जब अच्छी वर्षा होगी तो बहुत भरपाई होगी।
उत्पादन पर असर पड़ने का अभी बहुत ज्यादा अनुमान नहीं है।
असर तो पड़ा है, लेकिन मौसम विभाग का कहना है कि जुलाई में अच्छी वर्षा होगी, वो लक्षण भी आपको दिखाई दे रहे हैं और जुलाई में यदि अच्छी वर्षा होगी तो बहुत रिकवरी हो जाएगी।
Well, now news from the big BRICS summit. The group of 5 nations penned agreement on BRICS contingency reserve agreements in the 6th BRICS summit 2014. BRICS new development bank became a reality on the summit leaders as the summit leaders signed the agreement. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the summit and said restoring a climate of peace and stability is an urgent need for global progress and prosperity.
Addressing the 6th BRICS summit in Brazil, Prime Minister Narendra Modi pitched for zero tolerance towards terrorism. He also said that he came from a land where the idea of the whole world being one family was rooted in everyone's ethos.
BRICS must provide a united and clear voice in shaping a peaceful, balanced and stable world. We should intensify our cooperation in confronting global challenges like terrorism, cybersecurity and climate change. BRICS must also play a proactive role in shaping the global discourse on growth and development. This includes shaping the post-2015 development agenda to keep the central focus on tackling poverty.
The Prime Minister also said that open, rule-based international trading regime is critical for global economic growth and it must address aspirations of the developing world.
We must seek urgent reforms of global institutions of governance like the UN Security Council and international financial institutions. We must help shape the WTO regime. An open trading regime is critical for strong, balanced and sustainable global economic growth. This must address the development aspirations of the developing world. It must also accommodate the special needs of the weak, especially in areas such as food security.
The Prime Minister said that BRICS summit has emerged as a platform for global peace and development.
The world is facing a high level of economic and political turmoil. Conflict and instability is growing in many key regions. This increases the challenges of tackling poverty, making growth more inclusive and evolving a sustainable model of development. Restoring a climate of peace and stability is an urgent global need. This calls for newer avenues of cooperation and collaboration. I believe BRICS can answer this all.
Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa will establish new development bank and its headquarters will be in Shanghai in China, while the first presidency of the BRICS Bank goes to India.
One of the significant takeaways of the Fortaleza Declaration has to be the establishment of BRICS Development Bank or the New Development Bank. The new president, the first president of the BRICS Development Bank would be from India. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his first address at the BRICS Summit reiterated the fact that the BRICS configuration has to now go beyond summit level and hence there is an urgent need, tremendous need to enhance more people-to-people contact as far as the BRICS configuration, the BRICS nations are concerned. With camera person Ajay Bakuri, this is Sakalbert reporting from Fortaleza in Brazil for DP News.
Well, the big news coming from the BRICS summit is the BRICS Development Bank. The leaders of the 5 BRICS countries have signed a deal to create a new $100 billion development bank and emergency reserve fund. The capital for the bank will be split equally among the 5 participating countries. The bank will have a headquarters in Shanghai, China, and the first president of the bank will come from India. Let's try and understand what are the specifications of the BRICS bank.
Of the BRICS emerging market nations have signed a deal and launched a $100 billion development bank and a currency reserve pool in their first concrete step towards reshaping the Western-dominated international financial system. The bank aims at funding infrastructure projects in developing nations. This bank will be based in Shanghai and India will preside over its operations for the first 5 years. They have also set up a $100 billion currency reserves pool to help countries to contain short-term liquidity pressures. The bank will start with a subscribed capital of $50 billion divided equally between its 5 founders.
O novo Banco de Desenvolvimento dos BRICS deve ter capital inicial autorizado de 100 bilhões.
The new BRICS Development Bank should have initial authorized capital of 100 billion and initial subscribed capital of 50 billion equally distributed between its founding members. The first bank president will be from India, the first regional office will be in South Africa and the bank's headquarters will be in Shanghai.
Do board de governadores.
The BRICS were prompted to seek coordinated action following an exodus of capital from emerging markets last year, triggered by scaling back of the US monetary stimulus. The new bank reflects the growing influence of the BRICS, which account for almost half the world's population and about 1/5 of the global economic output.
Позвольте выделить только некоторые, самые важные. Мы предлагаем учредить энергетическую ассоциацию.
We suggest to set up an energy association for the BRICS, and we can also create reserve fuel bank, and this could also consolidate our energy security.
Эти шаги позволили бы укрепить энергобезопасность наших стран.
Negotiations over the headquarters and first presidency were reached at the 11th hour due to differences between India and China. The impasse reflected the difficulties that Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa face in working together to build an alternative to the Bretton Woods institution dominated by the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Prime Minister Narendra Modi applauded the group for reaching a consensus after the idea was first floated in India 2 years ago.
Vision of a new development bank at the Delhi summit 2 years ago has been translated into a reality. In Fortaleza, it will benefit BRICS nations, but will also support other developing nations, and it will be rooted in our own experiences as developing countries.
Negotiations to create the bank dragged on over those 2 years as Brazil and India fought China's attempt to get a bigger share in the lender than the others. The initiatives gathered momentum after the reverse in the flows of cheap dollars that fueled a boom in emerging markets for a decade, and Chinese President Xi Jinping said the agreement would have far-reaching benefits for BRICS members and other developing nations.
在各方共同的努力下，我们今天 就建立开发。
Through the concerted efforts from all the sides, we have managed to reach a consensus in creation of the BRICS Development Bank. This is the result of the significant implications and far reach of BRICS cooperation. This will not only help increase the voice of BRICS nation in terms of international finance, but more importantly will bring benefits to all the people in the BRICS country and for all the peoples in developing countries.
感谢大家支持银行落户。
The bank will start lending in 2016 and be open to membership by the countries, but the capital share of the BRICS cannot drop below 55%. Business Bureau, DD News.
Meanwhile, the BRICS countries came out with a Fortaleza declaration resolving to enhance their cooperation to encompass new areas. The declaration said BRICS as well as other developing countries continue to face significant financing constraints to address infrastructure gaps and sustainable development needs. In a strong endorsement of India, the five-nation BRICS summit has come out with a strong condemnation of terrorism in all of its form and manifestations and stressed that there cannot be any justification for any acts of terror based on ideological, political or religious issues. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that BRICS is in a position today where it has enough horizontal influence to compel the world to take notice. Prime Minister said that we must focus on further decentralizing this powerful form. Prime Minister outlined several proposals to achieve this vision.
BRICS has gained enough horizontal influence to compel the world to take notice. Our own greater good, however, lies more in deepening our bonds vertically. This is why I have spoken on decentralizing this powerful forum in our earlier deliberations. We must proactively move beyond being summit-centric. We must champion sub-national level exchanges, champion engagement between our states, cities and our local bodies. BRICS should in fact be driven by people-to-people contact. Our youth in particular must take a lead in this. BRICS should explore developing innovation mechanism of youth engagement. A possible initiative could focus on nurturing innovations by establishing a BRICS Young Scientist Forum. Another possibility could be the setting up of BRICS language schools, offering language training in each of our languages. We could also consider establishing massive open online courses for making quality education accessible to all. We could also explore setting up a BRICS university. This will connect campuses in each of our countries virtually as well as through intensive student, faculty and research collaboration.
So after the banks, we can have a BRICS university soon. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Brasilia after taking part in the main session of the 6th BRICS summit in the coastal town of Fortaleza. Well, on the second day of the summit today, he will have bilateral talks with the president of the host country, Dilma Rousseff, and also with the heads of states of a few South American countries. Well, now news from our neighborhood. Well, China's economy has picked up speed in the April to June quarter, a sign that the government's stimulus move have started to have an impact on the world's second largest economy. The world's second largest economy expanded by 7.5% from a year ago period, which was at 7.4%. That was the previous quarter growth. The other data which came out of China showed that the retail sales and factory output also rose in the month of June. So a turnaround, here is the report.
China's economy picked up speed in the April to June quarter. Second largest economy expanded 7.5%. Other data released showed that retail sales and factory output also rose in. The data came as China has introduced a series of measures in recent months to help boost its growth. According to economists, the result is very good and shows the economy is back on track. After the years of robust expansion, China's economic growth rate has slowed in recent times due to a decline in demand for its exports. Prompted by the slowdown, China has been trying to boost domestic consumption to sustain its expansion and also to rebalance its growth model. China's central bank said it would cut the reserve requirement ratio and would also encourage banks to lend more to exporters to boost shipments. In the series to boost sentiment, government would cut taxes on small firms and will speed up the construction of railway lines across the country. It had plans to build railways, roads and airports along the less developed inland provinces. Data released has a positive effect on the growth of China. Also, the factory output has rose to 9.2%. On the other hand, retail sales were higher by 12.4%. China has set a growth target of 7.5% for 2014. Business Bureau, DT News.
Well, let's check out other business stories of the day. The government today reduced the import tariff value on gold to $425 per 10 grams due to falling international prices. On the other hand, the tariff value on silver was raised to $690 per kilogram. The import tariff value is revised on a fortnightly basis, taking into account the volatility in global prices. Well, Goa Chief Minister Manohar Parrikar has said that his government expects to get projects worth 10,000 crore rupees from the centre in next 3 years. The central government has already decided to take up works worth 3,000 to 4,000 crore rupees in the state. Well, India-born former Goldman Sachs director Rajat Gupta is expected to be released from a US prison in March 2016 when his 2-year term on insider trading charges will end. Gupta began his prison sentence after fighting a long legal battle to clear his name in one of the biggest insider trading schemes in US history. Well, after its $3.2 billion acquisition of Ranbaxy, Sun Pharma has announced its buyout of US-based Pharmalucents, one by its subsidiaries. According to a statement, Pharmalucents was acquired by one of Sun's US subsidiaries. Pharmalucents, a leading manufacturer of the radiopharmaceuticals, has developed a few injectable indicated for cancer treatment. Well, the government has detected over 1 lakh crore rupees of undisclosed income in the last financial year. This figure is more than double as compared to the search and seizure action undertaken by the Income Tax Department during financial year 12-13 to check black money. And finally, global internet solutions provider Tata Communications today said that it has plans to invest $200 million over a period of 3 years to double its data center capacity in India. The new data center, launched in Greater Kailash in Delhi, is spread over 1 lakh square feet. Well, the Institute of Directors organized the 16th World Congress on Environment Management. The theme of the Congress was environmental sustainability through green growth solutions and has been organized in collaboration with the World Environment Foundation. Golden Peacock Award, which are regarded as a benchmark of corporate excellence, were also given to the winners during the event. Here's the report.
Mainstreaming the green growth solutions through market-based strategy and CSR strategy for environmental protection have been the highlights of the 16th World Congress on Environment Management. In a program where business leaders participated and opined on environmental sustainability and discussed on various topics like transitioning through green economy, many people had the opportunity for networking and brainstorming with various environmental professionals and sustainability experts. How should business in India and in other parts of the world respond to the environmental challenges and opportunities has been addressed by the speakers during the program. Another most important highlight of the event was the prestigious Golden Peacock Awards. Golden Peacock Awards have the history of 23 years and are given by the Institute of Directors. These awards are given to the organizations from diversified fields which exhibit corporate excellence globally. In the recent past, these awards by IOD have emerged as one of the prestigious corporate recognitions. And this time, Golden Peacock Awards for environmental management, occupational health and safety have been given to many firms across India which displayed effective initiatives in the environment management and eco-innovation areas. The two-day event also presented the case studies on environment management, occupational health and safety. On the whole, the 16th Congress was successful in discussing the corporate environment strategy for the future. With Jaya Sinha's inputs, Venkat Raman's report, DD News.
Well, the rupee figures are out when the rupee closed at 60.12 against the US dollar. Well, that's all in this edition of Business Wrap. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.